Some people say 2022 is a dry year for games. Meanwhile, Game Pass just keeps on giving way to new games to play. Who cares if you have an ever-growing backlog? There's nothing wrong with taking time to taste and try a new game you wouldn't have before, and Game Pass is great for that. So here's 8 games for you to check out on Microsoft's Game Pass if you subscribe to it. Shoot the Nazis in the Testicle Simulator. Sniper Elite 5. Yeah, that one. The highly acclaimed sniper-focused shooter franchise is back, and its latest entry is a day-oneer for Game Pass. Where most shooters tend to be frenetic and over-the-top, Sniper Elite is a slower-paced and more methodical approach, especially for military shooters. Sniper Elite 5 gives players massive open-ended maps to stealth around and experiment in their Nazi killing. But of course, not without some spectacle of looking at eternal damage you can inflict on them. Sniper Elite 5 also introduces multiplayer invasion, akin to Deathloop or Dark Souls' system. You can enter another player's world as an Axis sniper and foil their Nazi testicle shooting plans. But for some, killing Nazis is better done with friends, and thankfully Sniper Elite 5 offers co-op for its campaign missions. So load up, sit back, and shoot a Nazi from 300 yards away. Now this is what I'm talking about. Pac-Man Museum Plus just dropped fresh on Game Pass, which includes 14 Pac-Man chompin' classics, including Pac-Land, a game I have fond memories of playing on the TurboGrafx, which also includes the song that for whatever reason induces me in a state of panic. In Pac-Land, Pac-Man has a bi-cocked hat for some reason, or is that a fedora with a feather? And there's a fairy. And fire hydrants have gone completely awry, and I have no idea why. Please tell me in the comments if you know. Anyway, but there's loads of other games like the OG Pac-Man, Super Pac-Man, Pac-and-Pale, Pac-Attack, Pac-and-Time, Pac Goes to Jail. I made that one up. Look, all I'm trying to say is that there's a lot packed in. It's all packaged together in a cool interactive arcade you can customize yourself, which is really sweet, and can be decorated with collectibles unlocked by playing the games.
No need to be alarmed. Please remain in the vehicle with nothing.
Life finds a way, and if there's anything telling of that, then it's the several sequels in the film franchise, the 6 books, and now Jurassic World Evolution 2, the management sim game where you get to manage and create your very own Jurassic Park. These games are all about trying to control and contain wild dinosaurs that have rampaged their way across the United States, which is certainly a more pragmatic and humane approach than attempting to bring on their second extinction. Basically, you're picking up the mess after a bunch of scientists decided to play God, and clearly the humane thing to do is just make a park for people to come and gawk at them.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Jurassic World.
And really, that sounds like a blast. Build your dream dinosaur park, get creative, manage your staff, explore different environments with their own distinct challenges. There's also a campaign with Jeff Goldblum himself reprising the role of Dr. Ian Malcolm. Trek to Yomi, through and through, is an uncanny take on feudal Japan samurai cinema. Black and white? Check. Film grain? Check. Hyper-stylized presentation with lots of wit and silence? Check. It's hard to imagine the samurai genre done any other way thanks to the legendary filmmaker Akira Kurosawa's influence on the genre 60-some years ago. Trek to Yomi has a very classic samurai story of a young man swearing to protect his town and people at all costs, a vow to his dying master. As a lone samurai, you'll be slashing, parrying, dodging, and running through a visually striking cinematic landscape filled with deadly foes who erupt in vibrant sprays of blood, all in the name of revenge. Most games put you on the front lines of peril, fending your city off from an alien invasion, firing off with military defenses. In Umurangi Generation, you're shooting alright, not with a gun, but a camera. As a civilian, you explore the world, taking pictures and documenting the stark reality of a world being invaded by an alien species, while the United Nations deploy military forces to defend the planet. But you don't actually really see any of the action happening. Well, sort of. It's a really cool twist, positioning the player to instead see the impact of the action rather than being directly involved in it. And despite that dour twist, Umurangi Generation has a remarkably hip cyberpunk aesthetic with a chill-step electronic vaporwave vibe. While the battles commence in the distance and you hear the constant gunfire, life for most citizens goes on, going to work, consuming and existing, and that's the world you get to explore and capture.
Wake up, sleeper. Dreaming again?
Set in a ruined space station, thousands of people grip onto life, surviving on the edge of an interstellar capitalist society. In this very bleak view of a capitalistic future, you play as a sleeper, a digitized human consciousness in an artificial body that you don't own, but a corporation does. Inspired by tabletop RPGs, the game uses dice and ticking clocks to move the character forward in a world that is responsive to your actions. What paths you take, who you meet, and how you interact with them determine the story you carve out for yourself in this dystopian science fiction while you try to escape the capitalistic past and carve out your own future. Alright, these last few on the list are exclusive to PC, so sorry console only folks, but these next few are too good not to include. Vampire Survivors emerged from obscurity to being one of the most talked about games of 2022, and to think, it's still in early access. But don't let that misguide you. Even in a technically unfinished state, Vampire Survivors is an incredibly addictive game that'll have its teeth sunk into you in no time. It's a single-stick shooter where all you do is control the movement of your character while it shoots and fires off your weapons for you. But do not be fooled. Though the attacking is done for you, it's not long until you can be swarmed with hundreds of enemies all at once. It then becomes a dance of maneuvering through an ever-growing horde of enemies while strategically stacking up power-ups to fend them off. Its approachability lends itself to quick but challenging sessions that'll have you entranced by its vampiric gaze. And before you know it, hours would have gone by. Norco is a point-and-click adventure mystery slice-of-life game that begins with the story of your missing brother. But what ensues is a series of secrets that spans generations. Using a cinematic painterly-like approach to pixel art, set in a quotidian sci-fi South Louisiana, you'll be exploring and unraveling a world tarnished by oil refineries and industrialization. Accompanying its distinct art style is an industrial soundtrack and a wide cast of characters, each with their own backstories and motives that'll make this solemn world feel alive and wholly realized. And there you have it. We make these lists monthly, so if there wasn't a game you saw that you'd suggest, drop it in the comments. Subscription services like Game Pass are a great way to try something new that you may have not otherwise. So this month I challenge you to boot up something you maybe wouldn't have in the first place, just to give it a go. Cause who knows, your next favorite game could be one you never even considered playing in the first place, like Paradise Killer. And yes, I'm talking specifically about me. In the meantime, keep an eye out for everything game related here at GameSpot.